Hey guys, it's Steph. Welcome back. Today I'm going to do a really quick January wrap-up for you. I didn't get a chance to do it mixed with my February TBR because I had so many books that I wanted to talk about in February, and I ended up reading more in January than I anticipated, so I kind of didn't want to make you watch a 20-minute video. Sorry. So basically the first book that I read in the month of January, I'm not even really going to spend a lot of time talking about, and that's because I did do a book review on that, and it is down, I'll link it in the description box below, and that was The Night Circus. I have a lot of mixed feelings about that novel, and if you watch the video, you'll see why. A whole bunch of people loved it. I could not figure out if I liked it or not, so you can decide for yourself. The next one that I read in the month of January was actually Ink and Bone. This was not on my January TBR because I filmed the TBR after I'd already finished it, so I was trying to think of books that I was going to read going forward. So this is Ink and Bone by Rachel Caine. Basically, it takes place in an alternate reality where the Library of Alexandria had not been destroyed. So it follows the life of this young boy who is well, I guess he's not a young boy, he's a teenage boy. This teenage boy who is the son of a book smuggler, because the Library of Alexandria now controls all knowledge, all books, and all reading materials throughout the world. They basically have all the power. And so this boy is sent to the library to hopefully basically be a mole for his father's smuggling business. So this book takes place and it's really engaging. I really like that the world that she built is just really, I think it's pretty cool to think about. But I got about 60% of the way into the book and all of a sudden all this action started happening. And I feel like Caine made all that action happen because she'd forgotten to put any in there at the beginning of the book. And so what happens is there's a lot of action and then it kind of dies off, and then there's a whole bunch of action and then it dies off, and these are like completely separate plot points. And then there's another plot point of action and then it dies off too. So I feel like she had a lot of really good plots and plot lines and points of direction, but without a lot of a lot of meat. I feel like she could have added a whole bunch of meat to it and had like one major plot point for an entire book had she really developed the plot a little bit more. So that's my only qualm with it. It was fun. There are a couple of other books already out in this series, and I don't know if I'm going to read them, and that's because while this book was an easy, fast, fun read, I wasn't that interested, I wasn't that engaged in it. I felt like I needed some more development. So I might, or I might not read it. I'm not really sure. So then I decided to read Live by Night by Lehane. I chose this book because they were making the movie. The movie was coming out in January with Ben Affleck as the lead character. And I really wanted to read this book because I really love Prohibition era, and also this book starts out in Boston, and I enjoy the city of Boston. But I also was born in Tampa and I went to college in Tampa, and the majority of this novel takes place in Tampa during the running days, and there's a lot of Cuban influence and Cuban food. So I really wanted to read this book, and I thought it was really cool to, they could talk about the Flagler Hotel, and I'm like, I know where that is, because now it's the University of Tampa. Like, it's still there on the water. So I got really excited because I knew where a lot of the places that they were talking about in Ybor were. Now, there are some things that I maybe didn't like. There's a love interest aspect of it, and I feel like that character was not developed as well as she could have been, for my liking. Now, this is a fun read, it's a fast read, it's a good beach read, or if you're in between very substantial books, this is a good way to kind of break it up a little bit. I don't know, read it though, it's not too bad. Now, the next one I read was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. What to say? I enjoyed it. It's a fun little book. It was a really quick read. I think I read it in like a day, maybe not even a day. Basically, it's the story of a girl, and her world is divided up into two classes. Those with red blood, like us, and those with silver blood. Now, the silver bloods have these special powers, like being able to create fire, manipulate water, read minds, things like that. And basically she falls literally into the court of the Silver King who runs her universe, country, world. He runs stuff. And so basically she falls into his court, and these powers that she's not supposed to have come to fruition. And so the rest of the story is basically her trying to deal with the repercussions of that and trying to hide who she really is. And there is kind of a love triangle. It's more like a square. There's a love square in the book. And the only thing I can say is that this is so similar to Hunger Games in so many ways that it was kind of frustrating because I felt like I knew what to expect. But it was still a fun read. It was still a quick read. It was still good. I think I gave it like a 3.25, I think. Immediately after that, I went onto my e-reader and I picked up Glass Sword, which is book 2 in this series. And I immediately picked it up because there was kind of a cliffhanger at the end of Red Queen, so I wanted to know what happened, and since the book was already out, I didn't want to like go to the bookstore and get it, so I just downloaded it. And plus it's cheaper. And so I got Glass Sword and I hated it. Maybe not hate, I like strongly disliked this book. I felt like the main character, Mare Barrow, the girl with the red blood, she became really irritating. She became really self-righteous and selfish and obnoxious and just like a haughty little teenager. And it irritated the crap out of me. Like, she's supposed to be the heroine of the book, and she was acting like she's the only person on the planet who really matters. But she's not, because she was finding all of these other people who are just like her. So why she thinks she is the symbol of this like great rebellion, I don't know. But so I wasn't a super fan. I give this book like a 2. I really didn't like it. The only reason why I read it is hoping that it would bridge me to King's Cage, which came out in the month of February and is in my February TBR. Sorry. So then I read Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I stopped reading this book after 87 pages. I have a link to the reason why down below in the description box. I stopped reading this book after 87 pages because I'm pretty sure that I guessed the twist in this 500-page book. Yes, that's right. I read less than a fifth of this novel and guessed what happened. So I was talking to one of my girlfriends after I made the video, and she'd watched the video and she told me that I was spot on. So at that point I decided I was not only putting it down, but I was never going to pick it up again. So this is going to my mother-in-law when I see her in 2 weeks, and I'm never going to pick up a Liane Moriarty book ever again because all of her books for me are super predictable and not twisty enough and kind of frivolous. So I'm not going to read them anymore. I am probably going to watch the HBO miniseries though, because I really like Reese Witherspoon, and I feel like this is the kind of book that would make a much better movie than novel. Kind of like Gone Girl, I thought the book was just mediocre and I thought the movie was really good. So I'm kind of hoping that the book, I'm kind of hoping she turns into a screenwriter instead of an author. That's all I gotta say about that. So the final book that I read in the month of January, I just adored, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Sarah J. Maas is my homie. I want to be her best friend. I want to like invite her over. I want to drink tea with her. I want to talk about boys with her. I want to go to the beach with her. I want to trade clothes and raid each other's closets. I want to sing like pop songs at the top of my voice with her. I want to like just be her friend because her books just blow my mind. So this is basically the classic retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and it's this mortal girl, and she kills a fairy, and then the friend slash ruler of that fairy comes and he kidnaps her. And through the course of the novel, I'm not going to try to give anything away, there are There's a lot of magic that happens, and there's curses that need to be broken, and it's just so good. I just really enjoyed it. And the last 25% of this book, I was like, oh my gosh, I could not read fast enough. It's one of those things where you want to finish the book, but you don't want to finish the book because you don't want the book to end. I just thought it was excellent. The character development was really great. It kept me on the edge of my seat. It kept me wanting to turn pages. I ignored everybody and everything in my house when I was reading this book. So much so that I put the sequel, the second book in this series, on my February TBR like immediately, and I was annoyed that I couldn't read it first because I sometimes I need to break up series so that I don't get overwhelmed. But I finished the second book, and I'll talk about that in my February wrap-up. But in the meantime, Sarah J. Maas, you're a rock star, and I love you, and let me know if you want to hang out. So that's it for me for the month of January and my January wrap-up. I hope that you enjoyed it, and let me know if you have any recommendations for books that I should read coming up. Thank you guys so much, and happy reading. Bye-bye.